Yep. So yeah, I'm Desmond, right? I'm the artist, game designer, and CEO of the Gentlebros. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for coming, right? I saw the other talks, and this time I was like, oh shit, man, I also want to attend those other talks. So yeah, thanks for coming for mine. So just to give a brief overview, I'm not really a very technical guy. I'm more of the game designer and a businessy person. So this talk will be more focused around those aspects of game development. And of course, Switch development as well. So the game you obviously just saw was Cat Quest. It's a 2D open world action RPG where you play as a cat, right? So think Skyrim, but everyone's a cat instead, with a dash of Final Fantasy and a little bit of Zelda. So it's out on iOS, Android, Switch, PS4, and Steam. Yeah, sorry, Xbox. So go to the next slide. So this talk is mainly about developing a game for the Switch, and also, while at it, every other platform, right? So the reason why we feel very strongly about this in our company is because, especially in the current state of the industry, is super competitive, right? Like, you want to maximize your revenue. So it makes sense to design your game so it works best on as many platforms as possible. So not to give away any real numbers, right? For Cat Quest, a third of our revenue came from mobile, a third from console, and a third from PC, right? So it would have been a huge chunk of revenue we would not have gotten otherwise if we had skipped any of those platforms. So we really do recommend everyone kind of thinks about that when designing your next game, or probably even the game you're currently making. So how we got started on the Switch. So just to give a little bit of our own experiences, so this might help you guys maybe formulate your own strategies. I think it was mid-2017. I'm an alumni of Digipen University, and Digipen kind of has a really close relationship with Nintendo. So Nintendo was coming down to Singapore to attend some kind of Digipen event, and they asked us whether we wanted to talk to them, right? Show them Cat Quest to see whether they're interested. So we did, right? And they loved it. They wanted us to put the game onto the Switch. So we were like, super cool, let's do it, hell yeah. I mean, we didn't have any experience working on consoles before, but yeah, we just agreed anyway. They helped us apply, Digipen helped us apply for Nintendo Portal ID, right? And helped us get approval for using the ID to make a game for the Switch. With that ID, you can actually order a dev kit from the Nintendo Portal itself. The dev kits come in two forms, an eDev and an SDev, right? So it's basically, the eDev is basically just, it looks like a retail Switch, except it can't play retail games. It can only play the game that you install onto it, right? The SDev it comes with a few more bonus features that will make development easier. But at the end of the day, Nintendo encourages you to build and test your game on the eDev instead. So if you guys are strapped for cash, or you can only afford one of the dev kits, go for the eDev, right? The SDev is a bonus. We ordered the dev kit via the portal. It came in through the mail. Overall, it's very cheap. The eDev costs as much as a regular Switch that you can buy from the store, right? So it's a lot cheaper than like the PS4 or what else or whatnot, right? You do kind of have to download a very you got to download a special editor, a Unity editor, to work for the Switch, right? You can get this from the portal. Sometimes this forces you to upgrade your Switch version, right? So we were actually using 5.6 and we were very happy with it, but the new update forced us to upgrade to the newest version, right? And then development on the Switch could finally start, and then we could make lots of money and finally go on a holiday. Yep. But this might not be that simple for you guys, right? So why do I say that? Well, obviously not everyone is lucky enough to get a meeting with Nintendo, right? So applying for the Nintendo ID itself is actually pretty easy, and I think it's free, right? But it doesn't mean you will get to see the Switch section of the portal. So you need Nintendo's approval for that. So how you do it normally is you need to write in, email Nintendo, they'll evaluate your game, right? And they'll see whether they want to approve you for development on the Switch. So Digipen obviously helped us a lot with that, right? So if you guys are planning to do it, it'll be really good to partner up with someone that has a close connection with Nintendo. So I have a lot of friends who actually went through different publishers to help get that approval. So there are many ways to do it, right? Another problem is the dev kit may not actually ship to your country. So for those who are in Singapore, we're all really lucky because Singapore is one of the only countries, I think this was back then, right? Disclaimer, yeah, this info might be a little bit outdated right now, but I did try to get updated info. Singapore is one of the few countries in this region where Nintendo only ships the dev kit to, right? So if you're in Malaysia or Thailand or stuff, you might be out of luck. But from what I've heard from my fellow developers in Malaysia, the MDEC, which is kind of like the IMDA of Malaysia, kind of has secured a bunch of dev kits, and the developers are getting it from MDEC directly, right? So there are many different ways you can get this dev kit. It really depends on your country, right? So I'm just sharing with you guys how we got it. So it would be great if you guys could just do some research and to see how you can get a dev kit shipped to your country of base. Yep. So just getting to the meat of the talk. Wait, kind of need to. Okay. Shit. Oh, they took away my water. Fuck. Okay, sorry. Can I get some water? Yeah, if it's okay. Yeah, thanks. Okay. So the most important thing is your game kind of needs to feel like it belongs on. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah. So basically, the meat of the presentation I wanted to give, right, is it's great to know how to get your game working on the Switch and stuff like that, but your game needs to feel like it belongs to that platform you're making your game on, right? So, for example, if someone hasn't heard of Cat Quest before, they pick it up on the Switch or they pick it up on a PC, it has to feel like the game was designed and made for that platform, and this has to start right from the beginning, right? And of course, using an engine that lets you easily port is really useful, right? So like Unity, Unreal, and stuff like that. So as you all know, Cat Quest is available on every platform, right? And feeling good on that platform became part of the core design right from the beginning, right? So very early on, we decided that we wanted Cat Quest to actually play well on every platform, right? So a very important part of that was the controls. So we actually, right from the get-go, we designed the controls from the ground up for every platform. So on mobile, it uses a touchscreen, right? So the game plays very differently on mobile. You actually point and click to where you want to run to. You tap on an enemy to attack and stuff like that. But on consoles and PC, it's actually you using the controller or keyboard and mouse, right? You actually move WASD or move the analog sticks, and every button press results in an attack in the game itself. So as you can see, we really, if we wanted to take the shortcut, we would have done just virtual controls on mobile, right? But we didn't like that. We wanted the game to feel like it was designed from the ground up for that platform. So taking this into account when designing a game is very, very important, right? And there's always the talk on like consoles versus PC versus mobile, right? Like how different should my game be? Does it need to be super different for it to be fun, right? So a tip is that actually something that we learned is it's not as different as you think. Like something people find fun on mobile, right? Something a mobile player finds fun. A console player pretty much finds it fun as well. The biggest difference we found is how they play the game and when they play it, right? So how they play in the sense like, are they using touchscreen, right? Are they using gamepad, keyboard and mouse support, stuff like that? And when they play, right? If you're playing on mobile phone, you're pretty much going to be playing on the train, right? Or when you're taking a break in the toilet or stuff like that, right? So you only have a really short time to play your game, right? But for console games, you're usually playing for a much longer period, right? So taking all this into account is very important. For us, for Cat Quest, we designed everything in the game to be in short bursts of like 5 minutes to less than 10 minutes. So every quest, every dungeon, every activity you can do in a game can be completed in that short amount of time. So that works really well as a mobile title, right? It works really great on the Switch because Switch is portable as well, right? It allows you to really cater to any form of play that the player has. So a case study in Cat Quest itself is actually the magic system we designed. So just to share with you guys, initially, when we designed the magic system for Cat Quest, it was kind of similar to games like Diablo or other action RPGs where you had to target enemies and shoot your spells at them and stuff like that, right? But on the mobile touchscreen, we found that kind of control scheme to be really cumbersome and hard to use, right? It resulted in a lot of accidental taps and stuff like that. So we knew it wouldn't work well on a touchscreen. So we decided to change how the whole system works completely, right? So, for example, there's a spell in our game called Lightning, right? It's basically a lightning spell. Instead of targeting an enemy, Lightning only zaps left and right. Like, that's all it does, right? So if you want your spell to hit an enemy, you have to physically position your character to the left or right of a monster to hit the enemy with that spell, right? So this totally takes away the need to target an enemy because the spell itself does that for you. So by doing this, right, we made the controls far simpler for it to work on mobile, and the bonus thing is that it makes the magic system in Cat Quest feel a lot more unique. So it's stuff like that I urge everyone to think about in your core designs when designing your games and stuff like that, right? Right from the beginning, consider every platform, every console, every control scheme, and always think like, will this mechanic or will this system work best with all the different control schemes? And some people may say like it kind of holds back the design a little bit, and to some extent I do kind of agree, but it really forces you to think within a box. It really forces you to kind of be creative in how you can think of different mechanics to your game. So I feel that's really important, and yeah, we've had lots of players tell us like wow, the game works super well on touchscreen, or the gamepad support is super fun, stuff like that. So I think we took the risk of doing something like that, and it really paid off. Shit, wow, I'm almost near the end. Fuck. Okay, right. So other tips, right? Is that okay, I'll try to talk really slowly to waste more time, right? So third-party plugins may not always work on every platform, right? So, for example, when we were working on the game on mobile and PC, right, we had a specific input handler that was working well, but the moment we brought it to the Switch, it just didn't work because obviously back then the Switch was still a relatively new thing. The author of that plugin had not supported the Switch yet. So when you guys are choosing your third-party plugins, really do bear that in mind. Like, check whether it works on all the different platforms, right? Another important thing is to really do multiple save slots, right? It's not like, really, it's nothing to do with whether you're making a game for multiple platforms or anything like that. Multiple save slots is still always a great idea, right? So in our experience, we kind of goofed this up, right? Cat Quest only has one save slot, right? So it also kind of turned out to be a pretty popular family game in a sense. So lots of parents were buying this game to play with their kids, their wives and stuff like that. So when one of them would beat the game and they want to let another family member play, they had to kind of like start the game from scratch because we only had one freaking save slot, right? We had so many people write in like, how do we save the game in another slot and stuff like that. So I think nowadays this is super important, right? If you're making a game for PC, let the users rebind their keys, right? We had so many like thumbs down reviews on Steam just because we didn't allow this simple feature, right? So really take the time in your games to let players rebind their keys, especially for PC, right? Somehow for Steam users, they find that like a necessary thing, right? Also on consoles, the accept button is different for each platform, and it differs from region to region as well. So as you guys may know, on Switch, the accept button is A, right? But for PS4, it's either X or circle, depending on the region you're in, right? So if you have core mechanics in your game, like your rolling move, your dodge move, or your attack button, linked to one of these accept buttons, like either circle or X, right? You're going to have a problem, right? Because this button might change from region to region. So do take this into mind, bear this in mind when designing your games as well. Try to avoid those buttons because it's gonna be a problem later on. Every platform has some do's and don'ts, right? I probably could have gone into more, but yeah, I can't possibly go into everything, right? But for example, some of the things that we experienced was that unlike mobile or Steam, Nintendo does not allow advertising of any kind inside your game. So you can't link to your Facebook page, you can't talk about other platforms like Twitter or anything inside your game for the Switch. But this is like completely fine on Steam and mobile, right? So stuff like this you need to take into account, right? The lot checks are another huge problem, which kind of ties into the previous point as well. Like for Switch, right, there is one of the lot checks is really crazy. Like you can't save your game more than a certain number of times per minute, right? So that was a huge bummer for us, right? Lot checks itself, they're all very, very long. I think, wait, you guys, how many of you guys here have like made games on consoles before? Okay, yeah, right, obviously. Right, so for those who don't know what a lot check or TRC is, it's basically like compliance testing, right? The platform holders would check your game across different factors, right? They'll see whether your game runs, they'll see whether your game runs when there's like internet connectivity, basically just a lot of checks that they will do. And these checks usually take a couple of weeks. If you fail any of the checks, they'll return you back like a failed a result, and you need to make the tweaks and send it back for another check, which may take another few weeks, right? So I've heard cases of lot checks and TRCs taking months to complete, right? So do factor this into your launch schedule, right? Don't just set aside a week to lot check and TRCs and stuff like that, because you're going to need a lot more time. Oh no. Okay, so there's some more Unity tips. So my partner, our tech lead, was supposed to be here, but he's actually, there was some goof up with the timing schedule, so he's attending a roundtable talk right now. But he did have these to share with you guys. For those who are interested in Switch development, right, he did mention that player prefs kind of do not work to save your game, so try to avoid using that. We highly recommend using Rewired, which is one of the third-party tools to do your input handling. Especially for the Switch, is super useful, right? Don't try to save money on this, just do it, it's really great. It's helped us a ton, saved us a lot of time. And yeah, sorry, like our tech lead isn't here, so you can't really ask him any questions, but I have attached emails, so you can email him. And yeah, hopefully you all have lots of questions to fill up the time. Yes. Yes. Woo. Okay.
Speak slowly to take up more time.
Yes, please.
Stretch it out.
Yes.
You said that the approval process can take several months. Is there any way to automate that process of testing it in order for it to greatly increase the chance of
Getting approval, right? Right. So what we did was we worked with a QA company. So this QA company was like highly experienced in testing for TRCs and lot checks and stuff like that. So we sent the game to them, right, to QA the whole thing. They came back with their own like bug report saying, okay, this is going to fail the TRC, this is going to fail the lot check, you got to fix this. So once we got like our QA company's approval, we felt pretty safe to send the game for the official Sony TRC. And it worked. We got it on our first try, yeah. So yeah, getting a...
Surely there's a way to automate where you can run a certain battery of tests to check these things on a reasonably automated basis.
Right, yeah, I'm sure you could, but there's a, like I was mentioning, it was our first time doing console development, right? So, but even now, we would just send it to the QA company to do it. I guess you could automate it, right? It would probably save you lots of time and probably money, right? But you can't ever be sure you get everything, right? Like some of the, I can't really remember some of it, but some of it is like really, really weird. Like when you insert the disk and when you press eject, and if you press X at the same time, something like that. Yeah, it's like really weird ass shit. I'm like serious. It's like we couldn't believe it when we were reading it. So it's stuff like that I don't think you could really automate well, right? Yeah. It's like really there was one check where we had to be able to press the PS4 button, the controller, in another room to make sure it's still. We were like, what the heck's going on? Like, so we were doing stupid shit like that, and that's what that's what the QA company helps you with. Like, it helps you clear out all this weird ass stuff. Yeah. To be completely honest, we're not familiar with the Xbox One yet because we haven't had a chance to release it on Microsoft's console. But out of all the compliance testing, the Switch one was the easiest. In fact, we did the Switch one in-house because all the log checks was on like one page on their website. It was really super manageable compared to the PlayStation one, which had like hundreds of checks. Yeah. So yeah, get a QA company and just rest easy after that. So for CatQuest, they kind of charge by the size and how big your game is. So CatQuest, we told them was about 10 to 15 hours, right? And they charged us, I think it wasn't that expensive. It was about 2,000 USD per console. Yeah, it was really affordable. If you guys want the contact to the QA company we use, you guys can just find me later or send us an email. Yeah, we can recommend you those guys. Cool. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Great. Thanks. Does anyone else have any questions? Please. How many of you guys here have developed on the Switch before? Wow, okay, great. So this talk must have been super useful, right? For you guys. So, I mean, I'll just share a little bit, like, we were working on the Switch is super easy compared to the rest of the platforms we worked with, right? Like Sony's dev kit is quite troublesome, right? The Switch dev kit is really just the Switch, so it's super easy, super user friendly. It was really easy to build onto the Switch system and stuff like that. Yeah, I guess the problem would just be able to get to work on the Switch, right? So like how many of you guys here are not from Singapore or like from overseas? Wow, okay, great. So yeah, so most of you guys are from Singapore. You guys shouldn't have a problem. The guys who are overseas, hopefully you guys can find some way, right? Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
Can you call your friend to Nintendo and get everyone a copy?
So actually, our contact Nintendo was like kind of asking whether we were interested in actually bringing in all the switches. Like we will be kind of like the middleman. Yeah, but we kind of like had like no time for that. It was like a huge thing. Like we were like, oh no, can we handle this stuff like that? But it turned out that I'm not sure, but I think someone else was doing it. So I have to ask my fellow developers. But I think another company was trying to help Nintendo with that. But so yeah, what I'm trying to say is Nintendo is trying to find some way to bring their dev kits to the other developers in this region, right? Especially with the shipping problem and stuff like that. So I've talked to certain developers in Thailand and stuff like that, and some of them are even considering like even setting up a branch in Singapore just to receive the dev kit. It's like pretty ridiculous. But yeah, that's how it is right now, unfortunately. Right. But where are you from?
I'm in the Philippines.
Philippines. Right. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with that region. I mean that country's laws regarding the dev kits, but
Postage sucks. So
right.
price sending is by the post.
I see. Huh. Okay. I could ask my contact for you, right? Yeah. Just anyone who needs help, just send us an email. I'll try to help you guys out. Yeah. You had. Yeah. Okay. It's actually the Japan one. Yeah. So okay. Disclosure. We actually worked with Digipen, right? So actually Digipen is right here, I think, right? They're like they're like in the room down there. They have a booth or something. So like I'm not sure whether you guys could actually try to work with them to try and get.
We have a booth in the show.
Right. Is Digipen able to help developers get a dev kit? Or something?
I just started there. So
Oh, okay.
go to the booth and you can ask the booth.
Yeah. Because DigiJapan helped us a lot to get the dev kits, so I don't see why they could not help other people as well, right? So that could be your way into Nintendo to help get approval and stuff like that. Yeah. Either way, you could do it the slow way, send them an email. But yeah, you know, emails. Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, it's better to get a face to it. Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
So if you're interfacing with Nintendo Japan, you have to do that in Japanese, or is all communication with them in Japanese, or is there English?
So yeah, so our contact in Nintendo Japan is a Japanese guy, but he speaks fluent English. Yeah, so all our emails are in English and everything. Yeah, so even his English is sometimes better than mine, which is like quite. Yeah, so yeah, that isn't a problem.
What about the documentation?
For the it's all on the dev portal, right? So once you get the developer ID, right, you can actually sign into the portal, and there'll be all sorts of FAQs. There's even a message board that you can ask questions on, right? It's all in English. Yeah, it's all in English. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So like I was saying, right? Correct. Yeah. Maybe you can. I can probably try to give you an email to maybe get things started, right? So yeah, again, just drop me an email and we'll see how we can go from there. But yeah, so just applying for the ID is not enough. You have to get Nintendo's approval to see the Switch side of things. Yeah. So yeah, that's where Nintendo's approval comes in. Yeah. Great. How much time do we have left? Just wondering. Oh, 10 minutes. Oh, that's not bad. Okay. Right. So, have you guys? How many of you guys here have played Cat Quest or heard of Cat Quest before? Wow, that's actually more than I. Hey, some of you are my friends. Not counted. Right. Oh, great. Okay. So yeah, Cat Quest is it's our first console game. Yeah, we actually planned it to just be on mobile and PC. But after Nintendo came in, we were like, hey, this is pretty cool. It was fun to work on. We brought it to PS4 as well. And for Cat Quest 2, we're trying to put it on everything, on every platform, including the Xbox and stuff like that. So we're currently working with all the various platform holders to try and get that done. Yeah. If you guys have any questions at all related to the Switch, like marketing stuff, you know, how's working? Yeah. Yeah, so we worked with a publisher to get Cat Quest onto the Switch, right? So the difference is in such that the lot check is the same. So once you pass the compliance testing, right, you're done, right? But releasing on physical is basically as difficult as releasing on physical on every other platform, right? You just gotta manufacture the stuff, and yeah, get the distribution done, work with someone. It's crazy to do it by yourself. Hopefully you work with a publisher, that'll be great. But yeah, so what I suggest you do is, if you're a small indie developer, try to put it on the e-store first, right? Just to see how well it does. If there's a huge demand, try to work with a distributor or a publisher to try and get the physical version made. So just to share a little bit, the Cat Quest physical version just came out, like I think a few months ago. So it's done pretty great, right? Despite having already been launched for like more than a year, I think, almost more than a year. So yeah, it's pretty good, I guess. So there's not much difference except the manufacturing and distribution side of stuff. Yeah. And there's some minor box art stuff that you need to get cleared by Nintendo. Yeah, but other than that, yeah, I don't think there's anything else. Yeah, from what I can remember. Yeah. Cool. Any other questions? Great. So, is everyone going to work on the Switch now or something? Great. How many of you guys are planning to do your game like us? Oh yeah. Okay, so that's one way you can go about it, right? So we've had a few friends who worked with publishers, and those publishers helped them get the Nintendo approval, and then the dev kits could. But then you have the shipping. Right. So maybe, I'm not sure if it would work, but maybe you could have Nintendo ship those dev kits to your publisher, and then your publisher send it to you guys. Right, and I think it could work, right? Yeah. We actually we tried kind of but that's another platform, yeah. But yeah. Any last questions before? How many of you guys are planning to make your game on mobile consoles and PC, kind of like what we did, like everything? Wow, good luck, man. Yeah. Right. In fact, this like something interesting I might want to share with you guys as well. It's like unrelated to the talk, but we came out on mobile. We actually came out on Steam a day before we came out on mobile, but for some reason, like I think that kind of hurt the impression of the game a little bit. People were thinking it's like a mobile port or something like that, right? So we've talked to a lot of other developers and stuff, and we figured out that it might be better to release your game on consoles first, like consoles and Steam, then maybe a few months later come out on mobile, right? It helps. I guess it helps the impression of your game a little bit more. So that's something we are contemplating for Cat Quest 2, right? If we're not around next year, then you know it didn't work out, I guess. Yeah. Yes. Uh-huh. Oh, like exclusive content for each platform. Okay. No, I think that's fine. Yeah. It's actually something we wanted to do, but we just didn't have the time. Yeah. So if you can come out with like exclusive stuff, right? In fact, I think the platform holders would love you for it, right? Like Sony is, okay, there's something in this game that is not on another platform. Maybe we might want to actually feature this game or help with the marketing a little bit more, right? So one interesting thing we did was Cat Quest is localized into Thai, right? So and at that point of time, Sony was trying to break into, I guess, the Thai market a little bit more, right? So they basically kind of put Cat Quest on everything because it was one of the few games that was localized into Thai, right? So we were at PSX, we were at all their different conventions and stuff like that, just merely because the game had Thai, right? So stuff like that might actually help the exposure of your game as well, and things you can think about. Like, but totally for us, we didn't foresee translating into Thai to be so effective. So it was totally a fluke on our end, right? Yeah, but yeah, stuff like that could help, right? So I saw the 5 minutes left thing. So hopefully it's already past 5 minutes. Sorry guys, I'm so sorry. You guys, yeah. I'm really grateful you guys chose to come to my talk, and I hope that like it was like really useful for you all. Yeah. So, was it useful? Like, oh, thanks so much, man. Thanks. Okay. Great. Yes. Thank you guys.